Welcome back to the Cool Clubs channel. We know you guys are golf geeks, golf nerds. We've got the perfect guy here, Travis Milliman from Ping. He's a design engineer. He has designed the G440 and we're going to tell you all about it, which one might be good for you and why. We're going to get into the weeds on the tech. Travis, tell us about this product from a high level and then let's go deeper and deeper.
Yeah, so at the highest level, obviously we feel like 430 has done super well. As of today, we have 145 worldwide wins with the G430 driver. So it works, right? It works on course. And what we really want to do with 440 was how do we get just a little bit more speed? Let's keep everything, what we're doing really well, keep the consistency, keep the forgiveness, but how do we make everything go faster? Obviously, that's the name of the game in the driver space. So it really goes into the new technologies we put into the 440 lineup to help drive CG down, enable us to go a little bit lighter, and ultimately go a little bit longer with the shaft too, hoping to drive a little bit more speed with the product.
Out there in the field, I do lots of fittings too still, and we see that, Ping is noticeably heavier, especially when you don't put a counterbalance shaft in it. And there's advantages for the heavy, right?
For sure.
But there's also advantages to going lighter, and tell us a little bit about the difference and what people are going to pick up on the actual golf course for these engineering changes.
Yeah, so we obviously love looking at data. We love researching different topics, and one of the things we've always known is that there's definitely a trade-off with head mass, swing speed, ball speed. The heavier you make a head, the more forgiving it can be, right? But we have found that people that struggle with speed tend to react a little negatively with a heavier head, so we've decided to lighten up everything. Our LST is going to be the heaviest of the three, so if we're looking at LST, Max, and SFT, LST is still going to be the heaviest. We're gearing that towards someone who has speed, so it's going to be a little bit heavier swing weight, total head mass. Max, we've gone 3 grams lighter, so 203 finished head mass on our Alta CV build. And the SFT, we're going a little bit lighter than that. So we're trying to couple the head mass, the total system mass, to who's going to play with this equipment.
Right.
So we went 3 grams lighter in the head. Our Alta CB shaft, like you mentioned, is 3 grams lighter in the shaft structure. We've also gone a little heavier in our counterbalance plug. So total, it's 10 grams lighter, which does make quite a big difference in your ability to kind of get that club back to impact quickly.
Well, Ping and CoolClubs are all about optimizing and fitting, and we've got all these pieces to optimize, right? It's not just the 3 models plus the 10K from last year, which is staying in the line.
Yep.
We've also got the rear weight, the weight track system. We've got the hosel. And let's go into the line and let's kind of run through it like you just did. But let's start with SFT, straight face, straight flight.
Straight flight technology, yep.
Tell us what you've built into this to ensure that people are going to get that forgiveness, that right to left bias.
Yeah, so I mean, we're starting with the SFT, but across the entire line, we've added in carbon fly wrap. So that's something we introduced for the first time on the G430 LST, but it is our composite crown that goes from the crown and it physically does wrap.
All the way under to this joining
into both
plate.
the heel and toe, right? So what that's really good for is to save mass from an area pretty high on the club head, that we can use that mass to make the CG lower. Couple that with free hosel design, which is removing a lot of the structure on the inside of the head that holds the sleeve in place. That's also a great place to save mass. It's pretty high on the head. Combining those two with a little shallower face, but thinner. We're trying to go shallower and thinner to get more ball speed out of when a golf ball does end up interacting with the club face. Those allow the CG to go much lower, so we're getting more ball speed, but you'll see on course higher launch angle. So in the fitting environment, we're actually going to see potentially if you're playing a 9-degree max at 9 degrees, you might on 440 go maybe small minus, a little bit less loft, but still achieve the same launch and spin as 430, just with more ball speed.
Which is what everyone wants, right? More speed, more downrange.
Yeah.
The wrap not only is, from an engineering standpoint, great, but it changes the dynamic, like the look on top. People have always talked about Ping, there's a lot going on for good reason. Yep. But this kind of calms it all down a little bit. It makes it look more, stealthy. Yeah,
the design aesthetic is definitely more refined. We had a lot of stuff going on the 430 crown, which is, 430 is great, we love it. But going to 440, we're trying to kind of make it a little bit more subdued industrial design. We still have the turbulators. And I think the important thing to know there is that turbulators have been here since G30. They've been here for a while, and we put them there because they work. It's really good at reducing drag, so if you only can deliver the club with your own system so fast, how can we make that club travel through the air more aerodynamically? These turbulators help to reduce the amount of drag as the air kind of goes across the top of the crown, keeping the flow more connected to the crown, which enables you with the same input to have that club travel faster when it hits the golf ball.
Yeah, so you shouldn't care what it looks like. If it works and it does a better job, just use them, right? Let's just touch back on the SFT again here. Two points I want to bring up is you talked a little bit in another session that we did about the whole, the family line has basically from a straight flight or right bias for a right-handed player all the way through to a maximum left bias.
Yep.
Just tell us a little bit about the increments that you go in.
Yeah. So obviously we promote having an SFT for someone who struggles with a right miss, right? That's great to help kind of center up your dispersion, if not turn the ball over a little bit. But let's say we're doing robotic testing that is currently already neutralized. You'll see the draw, we have a draw and a draw plus. Draw plus can go up to 20 yards left of a standard max in the neutral setting. So we have the draw plus, which we say will probably go about 20 yards left. We have the draw, which is still very draw biased. We're quoting about 13 yards left to help complement someone who might need help turning the ball over a little bit.
Yep. And then you take that step back to a more neutral flight into the max model.
Yep.
And where do you get with that?
Yeah, so the max, we're gonna have 3 positions. The most heel bias position, if we view these together, right? The draw plus is gonna be 20 yards left, 13 yards left. The draw position here is gonna be 7.
Yep.
Center, 0. So we kind of have a great span of 0 to 20 yards left, incrementally in basically 7-yard increments across the lineup.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as you get into the LST, you can even build in that fade bias.
We go right, yeah. So inherently our SFT is gonna be our most fade bias just from the construction itself.
Yeah.
The max should be fairly well centered, and our LST we want to fall right more than we want it to fall left.
Yeah.
So,
and that's just around the player that's using it, right?
Correct, yeah.
Touching on SFT and something I love that you've done this year, because in the fitting field you brought the 9-degree back.
Yeah.
And that's really helps because it's not just slow swing speeds that struggle with fade, too much cut, right?
Yeah, COVID has caused golf to be very popular, right? That's not a secret. And what we've seen is a lot of more athletic players coming into the game who struggle with that right miss. And we felt like on 430, we had options to fit that player, but we didn't have anything that went 20 yards left at a 9-degree head, right? So we were supplementing that by making a 9-degree max, put it in the draw position, which goes 7 yards left, which is good, but we wanted to supercharge that. So going forward, we're gonna have the G440 9-degree and 10.5 degree. So we've added the lower lofted head to help fight that right miss for someone who has more speed in the equation.
Yeah, for you guys out there that might have had that G430 with the 10.5, to try and get to 9, you had to de-loft it, which made it flatter, made it open the face as such. So everything you did was then fighting back against the draw bias you had.
Yes.
Now you can have low loft and maximum draw bias, so lower spin, and really have that full package for you, right? Real tailor.
For sure.
As we get into the max, just talk to us a little bit about the package size, because the 10K still is in this line, I'd like to still kind of use it as a reference for size.
Yep.
And just talk to us about what you did to the max in the 440 model and its relativity to the 10K.
Yeah. So we are going to be supporting the G430 Max 10K. So this is not the replacement. The G440 Max is not replacing the Max 10K. It's just going to live alongside it. So what we did was very purposely design our G440 mixture to complement Max 10K. So what I mean by that, on the Max driver, we took the G430 Max, which is a fairly large profile. If I'm looking at kind of the front to back, heel to toe dimensions, we shrunk those a little bit, kind of brought it in, which has its unique advantages, which we can get into, but it did help to differentiate a G440 Max at address from a super confidence-inspiring G430 Max 10K at address.
Yep.
So we're trying to differentiate the size, the visual look, but also there's an MOI story there, right? We have the G430 Max 10K, which is the most forgiving driver we make. We're pushing the boundaries on that in terms of the conformance. We wanted to have this be a complement. So the G430 Max 10K is gonna be great if you need just total miss hit forgiveness. If you want the most forgiving, you talked about your dad, giving him the most forgiving driver, that's gonna be great for that. If you want a little bit more speed and a little bit more adjustability, right? So the CG shifter going left to right, draw to fade position, the G440 Max driver is going to be great for you. So we feel like they're going to complement each other. This is not going to cannibalize one for one over G430 Max 10K. It should be a complement.
Yeah, it's just understanding that model. So this new one coming out is going to give you the adjustability in a tidier package. Some people want to see, they want forgiveness in a good looking package. It's hard to achieve, but that really does the job.
Yes, yeah, and so I think the other advantage when we make it a little smaller, we have 460 cc's to play with, right? That's kind of the limit for volume. So when we make it a little bit smaller, we're allowed to make it a little taller, a little bit more curved, which what the end user will experience is just a crisper, quicker, more muted sound from the 440 Max compared to a 430 Max.
Yep. And I can attest to it. I hit some shots off camera here. It's a different sounding driver. in a good way. I love
Yeah,
it. It
yeah.
really does an awesome job. It's hard to describe sound, feel, whatever you want to call it, but it's really, really good this year.
It's the first thing I like to think it's sound and feel is the first thing you experience when you hit a golf club.
Right.
Obviously, we want it to go fast, we want it to go far and tight dispersion, but it's the first thing you feel and hear. So obviously dialing that in, we've made a ton of great strides from 425 to 430, and I think it's another jump up from 430 to 440 in helping kind of attenuate the sound, make it crisp and quick.
Yep. Awesome. Let's move on to the LST, low spin tech. Looks like the same package, which I also love about the design feature, is that you're moving from, yes, this is a different head shape, but I can't tell that we're going into a completely different realm of forgiveness as you go through it. And for the better players, you know, you've touched on all the engineering behind it, so we're going to see the ability to play lower loft, which means higher ball speed, but with no trade-off for ball flight.
Yeah, so as we've made these packages smaller and we've dedicated more mass to our back weight, stripping it out of the face and the hosel region, we're driving CG down, right? So we end up seeing higher launch, which is fantastic. What we're gonna see is, like I said, a little bit less static fit loft, which Ping very much views that we should be fitting every product we ever sell. And so we're gonna see with this product compared to a Max, a few hundred RPM difference. So the LST is gonna be a lower launching, lower spinning flight to complement our Max product. And I think the huge improvement at the LST is our CG shifter, our high density back weight. We've gone from, we've increased the CG shifter to a 29 gram adjustable weight, which just drives MOI. As much mass as we can put back into our CG shifter, the higher performing it will be in terms of an MOI perspective. So
you get more forgiveness out of a tour player version head.
Yes.
Not only that, you kind of, we talked about this again, we've reduced the distance this is moving, but with no trade-off for the result of moving it.
Yeah, so 410 was the first time we've introduced our CG shifter. At that point in time, from then to now, we've added a ton of features to save mass, allowing our back weight to go heavier and heavier. On 410, we wanted the same. We wanted to quote set plus or minus 7 yards, but we had, with less of a back weight, we had to actually end up moving it farther on our head to get that downline, what the user will experience as left-right movement. So when we make it heavier, we can tighten up those 3 positions so we don't have to move the weight as far.
Yep.
And I think what's cool about that is we save more mass in how we build that structure, but also does help preserve MOI in the different positions as well. When you're not moving it all the way to the toe or all the way to the heel, you're concentrating that mass in the area that we feel like is the best place to put mass, which is low as you can and as far back as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last little tidbit from an engineer,
Yeah.
and people are out there, I feel it, the roughness on the face.
Yeah.
We had this chat, I'm kind of fascinated with it. There is a story behind why you've got this texture.
For sure, we've done this for a while. You were astute enough to pick it up and feel that face and see the roughness, but we obviously want to optimize launch and spin, right? And roughness of the face has a huge impact on the resultant spin rate. So making the face rougher, which we do a brushing pattern on our face to help make it a little rougher, helps to reduce spin for that end result. So it's those small details like that, the incremental gains that making the face a little rougher will reduce even more spin that we're always trying to put into our product.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, Ping is an engineering company. Ping is a fitting company at CoolClubs, especially me, you guys out there, you're here because you want to hear this stuff. You know, Travis is one of these guys that's putting in the hard work so that in the fitting bay, you can get the results. And hopefully this has engaged you enough that you want to go out there and try these, knowing that these little adjustments will seem like little adjustments to us, the end user, massive hours and care about the result on the golf course, the feel, the sound, the visual, the result, moving the weight, just knowing that you're talking about 7 yards of difference from moving that weight. Get with an expert fitter, dial it in properly, spend the time on it, make sure your investment in a new golf club is worth it and you get your bang for the buck on the golf course. That's why you should head to CoolClubs, get your fit in, go to coolclubs.com and book your online fit in today. And don't forget to head to a Worldwide Golf retail location to get your fitting for the Ping G440 line. Get there.